Hello YouTube, this is Sam Gerrans from Qur'anite.com. Today is Wednesday the 4th of March 2020, and today I'm going to tell you about a book which is on the subject of the flat earth. Now, I don't talk about the flat earth very much as a subject vis-a-vis the Qur'an. I think I've made one, possibly two videos about it. I have investigated this subject and I've come to my own conclusions. But this isn't really about that. I mean, I advise people to do their own research while the information is out there, and to do their own research in the real world, because the thing is about reality is that it just is what it is and it stays constant, and so this isn't a philosophical position on my part. It's simply I've looked at the reality and seen what it is. And if there's a contradiction between actual reality and what everybody else is telling me and what the media is telling me and what science is telling me, I'm going to go with reality. And that's a Quranic position. But that's not what this is about. What this video is about is to introduce you to a book which is called What is Earth? And it's by someone called Abdul Aziz Al Nazari. This is not a personal friend of mine. He is not somebody with whom I'm affiliated. I have no financial or other interest in telling you about his work. My only interest is in sharing what he's done so that you can read it and come to your own conclusions. Now, what this book is doing is really outlining Islamic, in inverted commas, history. Excuse me. And putting the facts straight. Now, obviously this is a Qur'an alone channel, and I really don't want people writing to the author and saying, the hadith are all evil and all these commentators are this and that and the other, because that's not what he's really arguing. What he's doing is putting right the Islamic world on the quite recent about face that they've done on the flat earth question, and demonstrating that obviously the Qur'an, but also the hadith and commentators based thereon for centuries have assumed the flat earth model, because what's happened is a sort of a rewriting of history, a rewriting of certainly theology by Muslims, more modern, more Western-leaning Muslims, in order to attempt to integrate the Quranic text and their religion. I'm not so obviously interested in the latter, with Western science, in inverted commas. So you can understand why, because the Islamic world has been humiliated for about a millennium, and it's quite natural that people would look to the West, which was I'm using it in the past tense because it's now turning into the past tense, because it was very strong and very based in rationale, in actual rational, objective Aristotelian precepts. That's not the case now. Anyone who's taken any notice of things will know that science has become really it's fake, a lot of it, along with fake news and fake education and fake everything else. Washing machines that break after 6 weeks, and cars that are designed to fail, and mobile phones that will break after X amount of times if you turned it on, etc. Well, this is the case with science now in the West. But you can understand why Muslims whose own cultures had really imploded and destroyed themselves and become basically hot houses of a torpid, lazy, corrupt environment. And they looked then at the West and thought, well, the West is doing fantastic. What is it they're doing differently? Well, the West was using science. And so they try to reinterpret the Qur'an in the light of this, because they felt embarrassed. And the Qur'an clearly says that God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. Well, days, it could mean eons, it could mean this, it could mean that. Okay, maybe it could. And it's true, Yawm does have this other what they were trying to do was to rehabilitate or reimagine the Qur'an in the light of this changing science, in inverted commas. And what this chap's done, which is interesting, and I have to say now, I have a PDF in front of me which I will be deleting from my computer after I finish this video. So, but he wrote to me, and I get a lot of people writing to me, and a lot of people writing to me saying, "Will you look at what I've done?" And I said, maybe. But I asked him to send me the PDF because I don't have time to do anything else, and I've skim read it. But what I've seen, I'm impressed by. And what he's done is, the style is not entirely academic. But it covers all the points that you would expect an academic writer to cover. The style is slightly more personal and conversational than that. But that takes nothing away from the sources that he's covered. And he's, I suppose, sort of addressee, the person he's addressing this to, is a traditionalist Muslim who accepts the hadith, accepts all the rest of it, and obviously claims to accept the Qur'an. And what I'm just going to quickly do, he goes through, I'm going to give you some of the table of contents. He talks about why one should discuss the shape of the earth. He looks at the Qur'an and the earth, the heavens and the earth. He goes over the earth as a bed, and this is the word that the Qur'an uses. And I'm really grateful to him for what he's done, because people are trying to they're trying to twist things out of context and try to make the Qur'an say things that it doesn't say, in order to ingratiate themselves with an ideology which is corrupt and which is already discredited itself. And if the Qur'an says something, you should be able to. Well, I know that you can prove things on a pantextual basis and using Quranic definitions, and the Quran does not just happen to fit in with whatever transsexual lesbian ideology it is that you've just made up. The Quran has very particular things to say, and as regards the shape of the earth, that the flatness of that God created, He spread it out. It's all there. You can accept it, you can reject it. That's up to you. But it says what it says, and he's done a far more thorough job on this than I've done, even on the Quranic side. He doesn't use my translation. He uses some, I'm not sure which translation he uses. And also, I'm assuming, because it's published in the UAE, so it's the United Arab Emirates, for all those who are fixated with the idea of people who speak Arabic, modern Arabic at least. Well, he has a nice Arabic name, and I'm assuming that he speaks Arabic. He writes very well in English, so there's no hindrance on that front. He talks also about the 6 days, the width of the heaven and the earth. He goes into some points that I don't personally agree with, or because he uses hadith and so on. But that shouldn't blind any of us to see the contribution that he's made, and also from the point of view of accessing traditionalist Muslims who they wouldn't listen to me, they would consider me a heretic, but they will have to listen to this guy, because he's covered so many excellent bases and done it very well. It's a good piece of work. I say I'm deleting this from my computer. What I've done is I've skim read this in about an hour. There's quite a lot of this. Hold on, give me a second. 300 and something pages. So I spent an hour on it, skim reading it, and now I've ordered it from Amazon, whichever one it is, because if I'm going to read this thoroughly again, I'd rather read it from a book, from pages. He covers the subject of the ostrich nest, which I have covered, but he does so in much greater detail. He goes into hadiths. He refutes some people that I'm really not into and don't really care about particularly. He talks about, I didn't look at the last actually half, goes into, because I was only really interested in the Quranic aspect of it. But he also goes into the Bible and flat earth theory, various other religions, the sun, the moon, gravity, satellites, moon landing, etc. I think this is a really good resource, and I've ordered it. I'm not, as I say, affiliated with him in any way whatsoever, not ideologically, so far as I know. I mean, I know he follows my channel, but he doesn't, we're not in contact outside of this. I have no financial interest. This isn't some special link that's going to, what do they call it, affiliate, nothing. It's just, I think this book is worth reading. I've ordered it, and I think he's done something which needed to be done, which is to address this backpedaling and this rewriting of history, this rewriting and actually a false presentation of what people in the Islamic world believed for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, which is that they accepted what you could call the model of the Hebrew scriptures, the flat earth, the solid sky. The Qur'an is very clear. When the sky breaks, when it shatters, it's talking in terms of something which is solid. And to kind of try to backpedal your way out of this, to my mind, it's doing nobody any service. You should choose who you believe. If you don't want to believe the Qur'an, that's fine. I would be the last person to say that anybody has to believe anything. But if you're going to then wrest these things out and say, oh, it doesn't mean this, and oh, it doesn't mean that, and daraba doesn't mean this, and madda doesn't mean that, well, what does anything mean? We've only got your opinion on it. Now, I may not accept fully the traditionalist, in fact, I don't accept at all his methodology. I don't accept it. I think it's a very limited methodology, and I think that it's really an anti-Quranic methodology. That's my own personal opinion. However, that notwithstanding, the fact is that using those methodologies over 1,000 years and more, Muslim thinkers and commentators and writers, and the Hadith, incidentally, said that this was the case, that the sky is above us, and the Quran says that the earth is flat, stretched out like a bed, like a carpet. There's no way. And for me, when I was researching this, when you get to the ostrich nest, and you look up online, look up what an ostrich nest looks like. It's flat and circular and stretched out with an edge. This is the language of the Qur'an, and it's actually not only the language of the Qur'an, as this chap has identified. It's the language also of the Hadith and other literatures associated with that. Now, please, this is a Qur'an alone channel. If you do contact him personally, please do not use that as an opportunity to attack or in any way, impugn his motives because he's used these materials. He's reaching a very broad base of readership, and I think that he's done an excellent job. There's no book out there practically I can read all of, apart from the Qur'an, that I'm going to accept absolutely everything from, and I wouldn't accept you to do this either. But it doesn't mean that you throw the baby out with the bathwater. If somebody's done good work, they've done good work, and this chap's done good work. I'm going to put a link to both the US and the UK editions of this book, or it's one edition, but from Amazon. If you can, I'm not sure, you may be able to buy it in other places. And that's it. I just wanted to share that piece of information. I hope everyone's well. That's all for now. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Qur'an free using the button in the top right hand corner, or buy the hard copy there at 10% less than on Amazon. I also encourage you to sign up for the Qur'anite Plus newsletter on the site to get occasional micro updates. You can download the audio from my YouTube videos to your mobile device using the links in the drop down below. I recommend meetquranites.com to connect with other Qur'an alone believers. Like if you like, comment if you have something constructive to say, and subscribe to get more each week. And use the link in the drop down below to donate if you would like to help me keep doing this. And remember, this life is short, eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.